YouTube, Quinn Wade coming to y'all with that rundown of every single team in the NBA. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers as they're still the best team in the NBA with a 49-10 record. Absolutely amazing for them. They have won their last 9 games. They're 9-1 in the last 10 games. They've been blowing out teams over and over again. They had a tough game against the Celtics that they won by 7, 33-7 in the conference, 9-1 in the division, 22-6 away from home, and 27-4 at home. They had a .831 percentage, 83% basically, with their wins. There's nothing more to say about this. Is the pinnacle of team basketball. The rebounds, the defense, the scoring, the slashing, the penetration, the free throws, the clutchness. And then they got a closer in Donovan Mitchell with a helper in Darius Garland. And then they added DeAndre Hunter, a strong bodied wing that can shoot from the three and get to the basket and get out in transition too. The team has only gotten better since the trade deadline. They're deep with Ty Jerome and those guys. And man, there's nothing that this team can't do on both ends of the court. Just a model of consistency and dominance is all that this season was for the Cavaliers. And they have to end this season with a championship. They played so well, so long, and they are just amazing to watch. Just if you love team basketball at the highest level. But it's all for nothing if they can't cap this season off with a title. That's all I can say. They played so good and have beaten so many teams, been pushed by so many teams, and they continue to show that they can do anything that they put their mind to, which is possible, but they're actually doing it each and every game almost. You know, when you have a record like this, it's just special. Most people don't get this far. You know, Cleveland is really doing something historic this year in their style of play and how they go about their business. And all I can say is they're young, they're scrappy, they're hungry, and they really have a lot to prove in the playoffs. And we'll see. That's all about the Cavaliers is going to be what they do in the playoffs at this point, because they have blitzed the entire regular season, and then they have approached each and every game the right way, and that's why their record is just that amazing. Boston Celtics, 42-18. They have been a team that most people still believe in. Guys been in and out of the lineup. They've been giving guys rest. They've been giving guys chances to be off. Guys have stepped up, like Peyton Pritchard off the bench. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are having dominant seasons as a duo. They still been figuring out how to keep Porzingis at his best. Drew Holiday has been injury riddled. They've been giving him a lot of time off. Derek White is finding his stroke again, and the Celtics find themselves looking just as good as they did before, and they still are a scary team going into the playoffs. 7-3 in their last 10. They lost their last two. They're 31-11 in the conference, 10-12 in the division, 24-7 away from home, and 18-11 at home, showing you that they still one of the best teams in the league, one of the most dominant teams in the league, and they still showing you that they're championship contenders, even though Cleveland and OKC has them beat in wins and losses so far. The New York Knicks, 39-20, 66% as a record. They're 7-3 in their last 10, but they won their last deuce. Obviously, they're 27-13 in the conference, 10-3 in the division, 18-10 away from home, and 21-10 at home. This has been the season that we thought that they could have. People are just disappointed in the Knicks because they thought they'd be contenders after they made the Towns trade, which came out of absolutely nowhere. But they have still been figuring things out. They just got back Mitchell Robinson, which really helps their bench and their ability to get offensive rebounds in general, and it gives them another big body that can set screens and give them another lineup that they can throw out there. But I like what the Knicks have been doing. I wouldn't put them in the contender category, but if injuries happen or something crazy happen, they can make a run to the NBA Finals. I think that's the only way. But this is only year one with Towns and Brunson. They can have another year, another 2 years because they all under 30. So it makes sense that they're going to take multiple opportunities with this roster and see possible changes too to get this roster to where it needs to be, and that's a championship team. The Milwaukee Bucks, they're getting older, but they're still hanging in there. They're number 4 right now, 33-25. They won their last game. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They're 25-16 in the conference, 6-5 in the division, 12-16 away from home, and 20-9 at home. They have been taking care of Milwaukee in fires of form, which is good to see. Giannis still looks dominant and unstoppable. Dame was an all-star, so he's still showing you that he's one of the best players in the league. They lost Bobby Portis, but they gained Kyle Kuzma, who has been hit or miss sometimes, which we knew he would be because it take you some time to figure out your role with a new team, especially a team that has great players already. Brook Lopez looked like he still can score. He's been doing well offensively, and he's showing that he's still going to compete defensively. And Gary Trent Jr. and guys like that are just having good seasons. Didn't start off good, but now they're just playing their roles and really doing a good job at that. And their defense is improving, but it's not where you will want it to be. And that's the reason why they got a lot of losses already. But the Bucks are still one of those Cinderella teams. If they figure it out at the right time and they still play the game of basketball that they're accustomed to, and they try hard defensively and play with that sense of urgency that they used to, they're still a scary team to play in the Eastern Conference. And then after that, Indiana Pacers, they have the same record as the Bucks, 33-25. They had a 56% record. 5-5 in their last 10. They lost their last one. They're 19-17 in the conference, 6-4 in the division, 15-15 away from home, and they go 17-9 at home. They have been a good team. They started off bad, and they started figuring things out. They start winning more games and start becoming a team you have to respect and bring your A game against, unless they can give you some trouble. I like what they have done. Tyrese Halliburton is slowly getting back to what he used to do. Pascal still playing at an all-star level. Miles Turner is healthy, and he's really going out there playing some good basketball too. Bennett Mathurin is having a good season, whether he's a starter or off the bench. And you just hope Andrew can play a little bit better. Aaron Nesmith plays a little bit better. And the role players in general need to shine just a little bit more for this team to be more dangerous. And Tyrese Halliburton needs to go back to being one of the best guards in the league for them to be taken as a serious threat in the Eastern Conference. And then the Detroit Pistons. Nobody expected them to be here. They just started off keeping it a buck. 33-27 right now in the season, 55% for that. 8-2 in the last 10. They lost their last game to Denver. 23-20 in the conference, 4-9 in the division, 17-13 away from home, was basically on the road, and 16-14 at home. They really have been playing excellent. I love what they have been doing offensively. I love that Cade Cunningham became the leader that we knew he could be. They gave him the right amount of talent. Soon as they did that, he started helping produce wins. And that's what your leader is supposed to do. Hold guys accountable, make them feel alive when they out there on the basketball court, make them feel needed, make them feel like they're valuable, and just go out there and play your game at the highest level that you can do. And he has done that as a playmaker, as a scorer, and he has also did that as a defender. And he has done so many things for this team, and the team has responded with, I'm glad you picked us up. We got a lot left in our tank, and guys like Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, and Tim Hardaway Jr. have really gave them floor space and scoring, and even adding Dennis Schroeder just gives them depth. And that's something that they did need, that guys that really want to play in Detroit, guys that really believe in Cade and JB Bickerstaff, and they got those guys, and they've been out there playing great basketball because of it. The Miami Heat, they're seventh. They're 28-30, 48% when it comes to wins. They're 4-6 in their last 10, but the bright side, they won their last two in a row. They're 17 and 18 in the conference, 6 and 4 in the division, 13 and 19 away from home, and 14 and 11 at home. They've been a team that's been trying to do whatever they can to salvage their season. Jimmy Butler wasn't playing his best basketball. Then he kept getting suspended. Then they finally found a replacement in Andrew Wiggins for him. He's a downgrade in talent, but he's still a good player and he's still a good scorer and a solid defender and just a good competitor. Tyler Hero's having his best season and he's bringing out the best in his teammates. Bam is starting to step it up a little bit more, which is something that he always usually do around this time. Khalil Ware is looking like a steal in the NBA draft. Is a big body guy that can stretch the floor and also finish in the paint, be a solid rim protector. They're still trying to figure out their lineups. They're still trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. They're still going to in transition since they have Kyle Anderson and those guys that filled in rotation. They've been a little banged up too, but overall they still showing you that they're a playoff team and they're playing to compete. And we'll see if they can continue to hold that top 8 spots in the Eastern Conference by the end of the season. Orlando Magic been free falling. They had some ugliness in the season with injuries. They still was able to win with those. Then when their best players came back, they can't really make a shot from the perimeter. Their defense is where it needs to be, but you need guys to be able to make shots. And they just haven't been able to do that right now. And that's why they haven't been able to produce wins. And they're 5-5 in their last 10. And they lost their last 2 games. And they also are 23 and 17 in the conference, 8 and 3 in the division, 11 and 19 away from home, and 18 and 13 at home. Not the worst record. It's fixable. It's correctable. If the Patriots can do it, and if the Bucks can do it, the Magic have to have in their mind that we can do it too, and they should be trying to finish above 500 before the season is over. And they only 3 games below 500, so they can start as soon as they can. But the NBA is brutal. It's not going to be given to you. It's not going to be handed to you. You have to go out there and fight and earn it each and every time you go out there. And the Magic are trying to do that. They just can't put the ball in the basket. Atlanta Hawks, they find themselves in a play-in conversation. They're 27 and 33. No Jalen Johnson. Some minor injuries to their players. They lost their last 2 games. They're 4 and 6 as the recording of this video. They're 20 and 17 in the conference, 7 and 4 in the division. They're 14 and 17 away from home, and 13 and 15 at home. You gotta love what you're seeing from them. They're still going out there trying. They just don't have enough to bring home victories, and their defense just not great enough either to help them if their offense is not clicking. But Trae Young has been the shining spot. The team goes as far as Trae Young can take them. He's finding guys. He's keeping guys involved. He's cheering for guys. He's celebrating. He's having fun out there. And it's bringing some type of joy to them. And that's why they still have been good. Like Trae Young just understands how to play the game. He's not going to quit. He's not going to give up. He's going to give his all. And it rubs off on his teammates even when they're losing, even when they're down, even if he has to step up in fourth quarters to let them know, I got y'all. I just need y'all to have my back and we'll be straight. But losing Jalen Johnson was a huge blow to this team, especially for the rest of the season. And they haven't really had a replacement and they haven't been able to recover. And that's been their biggest problem. Chicago Bulls, they find themselves in a play-in tournament. They're 24 and 36. They're 40% with that win percentage. They're 3 and 7 in their last 10. They won their last game though. They're 19 and 21 in the conference, 3 and 9 in the division, 13 and 15 away from home, and 11 and 21 at home, which is sad because they had a season where you just didn't know what they was trying to do and what the direction they was going to go in, which is unfortunate if you're a fan of the Bulls. But now they picked their direction. We're going to go with the young guys like Giddey, like Matas, and guys like Kobe White and see where we can go with them. And it has shown signs of it can be something special, but obviously they need an elite player on their roster to be something contending wise in the Eastern Conference. But they're already showing that they can win games. They're already showing you that they have potential. They just have to realize it, and they're gonna have to add some more pieces that's young. The draft might be good for them, so it might be free agency, but we have to wait and see what they do, as this season is going to be a one that they don't really need to continue. So they're just going to go out there and show that they not quitters. They're not going to give up. They're going to get knocked out, obviously, in the play-in tournament. And then after that, they can figure out what they want to do in the future. That's how they should be thinking, in my personal opinion. The Brooklyn Nets are 21 and 38, 35% with their win percentage. They're 9 and 20 at home, 12 and 18 away from home, 3 of 8 in the division, 12 and 25 in the conference. They also lost their last three, so they're 5 and 5. I like this team. They do a lot of things right. They don't have a go-to scorer or a guy that can take over the game. That's the biggest problem for them. Other than that, they're going to stay in games. They're going to go out there and compete. They're going to push your buttons. They're going to force you to take some tough shots and try to beat them their way. And I love that about them. But they're just short on talent, which is obvious because they were trying to offload as much talent as they could this season, and now they're just stuck with a bunch of guys that's not really known. But when you look at the scores and you look at the games, the Brooklyn Nets are always in games, or they always win in games they shouldn't, and that's been their season, the upset team. The Philadelphia 76ers probably have been the saddest story in the NBA besides the Phoenix Suns. They're 20 and 38. They came in as a serious contender when people looked at their roster. It didn't come to reality, though, as they're one of the worst teams in the conference, and they're not even in the play-in conversation. If you would have told me that not only would they probably miss the playoffs, but they probably might also miss the play-in tournaments in the Eastern Conference, I would have thought you was a little crazy. But that's reality and how it has been for them this year. They're 10 and 20 at home, 10 and 18 on the road, which is just crazy how bad that is. They also 3 and 9 in their division and 14 and 24 in their conference. They lost their last 9 games. They're 1 and 9 in their last 10 games. This has just been terrible for them, and their fans are letting it be known. And they're going to sit Embiid out for the rest of the season and see what they can restore what's left of his career. Tyrese Maxey has been the best player for them. Paul George have had really no great games that's memorable, and it's just been a mess. And there's nothing really good to say about them because they just been that bad. Even when they had their big three, they was above 500, but you know they wasn't really going nowhere because they very rarely played with each other. And that's one of the other parts that suck about their season. But the good thing is the Toronto Raptors are showing what they can be, even though they only won 18 games and they lost 42 already. They have a 30 win percentage. They 13 and 19 at home, 5 and 23 away from home, 4 of 8 in the division, and 11 and 28 in the conference. They lost their last 3 games. They're 2 and 8 in their last 10. They also another team that finds themselves always in games, but they always find a way to blow it. They always find a way to lose it, and that's been their biggest problem is closing games. And they haven't had a guy that they can just throw the ball to and say, get us a bucket, take over the game, carry us to the win. Scotty Barnes shows it sometimes. RJ Barrett shows it sometimes. Quickly is showing that he's a good addition to the team now that he's been healthy for a while. We're going to see what Brandon Ingram brings to the team as he is a lone body that can shoot and score and play make. And they got him for basically really nothing. And that may make them better, might make them worse, but we have to see how that plays out. Jakob Poeltl is back. He's a solid defender. They have some good pieces to go with some other players like Shed or Mobo, or they have a lot of talent on this roster, but a lot of these guys aren't the best shooters. They're not the best floor spacers. They're not the best shot creators, but they try. And that's all you can really ask them to do while they're young, and then continuing to know that they can get better by putting in the work is all you want them to do if they want to reach their goal of being a playoff team once again in the Eastern Conference. The Charlotte Hornets have been terrible too. 14 wins only this year, 44 losses. They've been having way too many injuries to their best players. Mark Williams missed a chunk of the season. LaMelo Ball has been missing a lot of games recently. Brandon Miller is out for the rest of the season. It seems like this is a nightmare season for the Hornets. Nobody really expected them to make the playoffs anyway, but it just been really no growth because of the injuries that their best players been having, and that sucks. 24% when their win percentage, 9-20 at home, 5-24 away from home, 0-10 in the division, 7-30 in the conference. They lost their last 5 games, and they're 2-8 in their last 10, and that just shows you how bad it has been for them. And then the Wizards. People thought they might go down as one of the worst teams in NBA history. They still have a chance to do that, but they only won 10 games in 58. They're 48 losses, basically 17% when it comes to wins. They is 3-7 in their last 10, and they lost their last game. They're 8-25 right now in their conference, and they're 5-5 in the division. They're 4-22 on the road, and they're 6-25 at home. They haven't really done much right. They haven't really even played the game the right way. They don't really know what they're doing offensively. They don't really know what to do defensively. They've been relying on Poole. He hasn't been the most efficient guy. He hasn't been terrible, but they don't really have other great players. Even the rookies that they brought in seems like they're going to be role players instead of star players. And they brought in Malcolm Brogdon and obviously Chris Middleton. It gives them more scoring, gives them more shot creators. But the last thing they should be trying to do at this point is win. Since they won a good lottery pick, it makes sense to just go down this road of sucking to try to get better next year by adding guys in free agency and some good picks. And if they do that, maybe we can see the Wizards climb back up to the top. If not, it might take them a couple years to actually be good again, which happens all the time. Now for the Western Conference, the Oklahoma City Thunder has been there basically the entire year. They're 48-11, 81 percentile in wins, 25-4 at home, 22-7 on the road, 9-3 in the division, 27-10 in the conference. They also are 8-2 in their last 10. They won their last 2 games, and they just have been brilliant. There's nothing that no team can do at this point, as the Nuggets are basically 10 losses deep compared to the Thunder. It looks like the Thunder is just going to run away with the best record in the Western Conference. Shea has been a closer. He's looking like the MVP, averaging 32 points a game, taking over games, believing and trusting in his teammates. Jalen Williams got rewarded and became an all-star this year. Chet Fetchhunger is back. He's been a great rim protector, finishing at the paint, knocking down threes. They just have so many dynamics to their team, so many things that they do right. They're hard to stay in front of. They're hard to guard. They always get close to the basket. And they also trying to improve as a three-point shooting team. And Alex Caruso is starting to shoot better. He's starting to score better. And the team is just clicking right now. And we're going to see if they can continue doing that, which is crazy to say because they have done it all season. And the only problem with them is that they lost the cup game. Now, if they lose that game, they focus only should be what they can do in the playoffs. And that's all this team is going to be judged on. Can they win and get to the conference finals? And if they can get to the conference finals, can they get to the NBA finals from the Western Conference? They dominated it all season. Like I said, they're 27-10 in the conference. They should be able to do it in the playoffs if they're healthy. Now it's just about waiting and seeing. The Denver Nuggets, 39-21. They're 65% with that. They're 8-2 also in their last 10. They've been blowing out teams and winning games easily lately. They're 20-9 at home, 19-12 away, 6-4 in the division, 22-13 in the conference. Aaron Gordon looks good, finishing in the paint, shooting threes. Michael Porter still is that good ideal fit as a stretch forward. Westbrook has been a solid pickup for them all season. Christian Braun is the best transition player in the league. And then you also got to look at the fact that Jokic has been a triple-double each and every night, but he's doing it by getting 30 or even close to it. He's just showing you that there's nothing you can do to stop him. There's nothing you can really do to slow him down besides if you the Lakers. But that was the only game that Jokic looked human. Other than that, he has looked like a fantastic basketball player each and every night that he's been going out there. Just a flat-out dominant show each and every time you get a chance to check out the Denver Nuggets. The Memphis Grizzlies, 38-21. They're 64% with their wins and losses. They're 22-7 at home, 16-14 on the road, 8-4 in the division, and 21-14 in the conference. Have been one of the best teams in the Western Conference and in the NBA in general all season long. But they lost their last game, and they're 5-5 in their last 10. That just can't happen if you want to be one of the best teams and want to be known as a championship contender. Will they be able to score enough? Will Ja Morant be able to space the floor and knock down threes and mid ranges? He's still struggling with that. And the team is still relying on Jaren Jackson defensively. A little bit of help from Zach Edey, Jalen Wells, and obviously Desmond Bane spacing the floor, creating shots and rebounding to help them out. And their bench has been solid too. Brandon Clark, Aldama has just been fantastic for them. The Grizzlies just look like a complete team. They just got to get better performances from their stars and have more dominant games with those guys, or their bench just going to have to play better. That's the only way I can see them continuing to win, even if it's in the playoffs. The Los Angeles Lakers, 37-21. They're 63%. They've been moving up. They're 22-7 and 15-14 away on the road, and they're 10-3 in the division, 25-12 in the conference. And they're a team that's been on a win streak, 5-gamer. They're 8-2 in their last 10, just showing you how good they are defensively. They're showing you how smart they are. They're showing you how they go about the game is always unpredictable. Austin Reeves looked better than he's ever been. Luka's still figuring things out. LeBron is making everything work as best as he can, and they're playing near perfect basketball on both ends of the court, basically, and that's why they've been winning so much. The Houston Rockets been free falling. Their 37 wins and 22 losses give them a 62% record in the Western Conference. They're 20-9 at home, 17-12 away from home, 10-3 in the division, 22-14 in the conference. Still has been one of the best teams in the NBA all season, and they still can't move back up and get the spot that they lost, which was the number 2 seed, if they get back to playing their brand of basketball and make shots in the fourth quarter, and also rely on Alpi to be that force in the paint that he's still trying to figure out how to do. They have guys like Cam Whitmore, Dylan Brooks, and Jalen Green, and other guys like Tari Eason, and they just so deep and have so many athletes and have so many guys that can make plays and make shots. They just got to continue to find out how to do it against the better teams and also lock up better defensively. They need Fran VanVleet back. He's a guy that can find guys and be a sharpshooter and from the three-point line and also hit some mid-range and some floaters. Other than that, Jabari Smith Jr. is back, and he's giving them a dynamic that they lost, and now they got it back, and now he just got to continue to find his spots and his game for this Rockets team. But they have been decent. They have been above average. They have really improved from last year to this year, and they're a real good, respectable team in the conference and in the NBA in general. The Los Angeles Clippers, they're 6, 32-27. They got the addition of Kawhi Leonard back last month. Now that it's a new day for this month, but Kawhi Leonard is back. They didn't lose anything. They just gained a massive defender back, a floor spacing guy that can hit the three, put the ball on the ground, and hit mid ranges or get to the paint. Also an unselfish superstar. James Harden played at an all-star level, and he was rewarded for that. Norman Powell been out, but he's going to be back, and he's going to try to go out there and give it his all like he's been doing this entire season. Zubac has been one of the best paint players in the league and rebounders, and they just have been good this entire year. They haven't been great. They haven't been amazing. They haven't been dominant, really, but they just know how to win games and get it done, and that's been their calling card and why they have been a playoff team throughout this entire season, whether if Kawhi Leonard was there or not. 13-17 away from home, 19-10 at home, 6-5 in the division, 20-19 in the conference. They lost one game. That's their current win streak, and they also 4-6 in their last 10. Like I said, no Powell, and that has really affected them. Golden State Warriors are 32-27. They're rising. They had a little bit of a weak schedule, but you still got to win those games if you want to make it to the playoffs and avoid the play-in tournament and be able to be at your best when it comes to the playoffs. They made a lot of changes to their roster. Quentin Post looks like a good player for them. Jimmy Butler has seemed like he's fit, but he also hasn't really found his offensive groove yet. Steph Curry seems like he's getting reinvigorated, and he's going out there trying to score and take over games and dominate like we know he can. Draymond Green is back. He's healthy. He's defending well. He's passing well. He's scoring better than ever. He looks good. And the Warriors look like a serious problem right now for teams possibly in the future if they can continue to figure things out defensively and have success offensively. The problem with the Warriors, though, they're 15-14 on the road, and they're 2-10 in their division, and they're also 20-19 in their conference. They feel like they don't fear anybody. I feel like nobody really fears the Golden State Warriors because most of these teams are on the same level, if not better than the Warriors, because the Warriors still got things they got to figure out, and they still got things they have to prove because they're a different team than they were a couple months ago, and that's fair analysis. But they won their last 5 games, and they're 7-3 in their last 10. The Dallas Mavericks, no Anthony Davis, so we don't really know how to judge this team just yet because we haven't seen enough of them or really none at all. They're 32-28, 53% when it comes to record. 19-11 at home, 13-17 at home, 7-4 in the division, 22-20 in the conference. Also, they are a team that won their last game, so they're 6-4 in their last 10. I don't have much to say about the Mavericks because we haven't seen them enough since they're a different version than what they were a couple months ago and a couple weeks ago. So once Anthony Davis get back and they find a way to build around him and play around him, and he plays off them, and then he teaches them how to play off him, we'll start figuring out how good they are. But based off respect and based off the talent they already have on their roster, we know that they're going to be one of the better teams in the Western Conference. We just don't know how good they will be until we actually see it. The Minnesota Timberwolves, 32-29, and they're 52% with their win percentage. They get Anthony Edwards suspended. That was his problem, and it actually hurted their team because they needed to win their last game, and now they lost their last 2, and they're 16-14 at home, 16-15 away from home, 7-5 in the division, 24-18 in the conference. They lost their last 2 games, and they're 4-6 in the last 10. So that sucks for them, but he's having a little bit of a maturity problem. He's young. He's a superstar. He's one of the best players in the league. That's without even questioning it. But his team has been injured too, so it didn't help that he's missing for suspension. Then Rudy Gobert is injured. Julius Randle's injured. And now this team is in a situation where they don't look good and they're not supposed to. But now they have to put a lot of pressure on themselves to win as many games as they can while the season is closing out, so that way they can avoid the play-in. If they can't avoid the play-in, they're going to make it tougher on themselves to be a playoff team. This was a team that was a Western Conference Finals team, and now they're just battling for relevancy, and now they're just battling just to barely get in the playoffs or miss it completely, which is a huge turnaround to how we felt about them last year, but that just shows you how quickly things can change. The Sacramento Kings, they find themselves in the play-in tournament right now. They're 30-28, 51% when it comes to wins and losses. They're 15-14 at home, 15-14 on the road. You rarely see that, but it's reality for them right now. 4-7 in the division, 20-19 in the conference. They won their last 2 games, and they're 6-4 in their last 10. They have high power offense. They're going to score a lot of shots. They can knock down threes. They have bigs that can rebound. They have guys that can score in the paint. They have guys that can get to the paint. They have guys that can create their own shot. They have guys that can set you up for a shot. And that's why the Kings have been a tough team to beat. Their defense is one of their biggest weaknesses, but we'll see if they're able to just outscore teams to the best of their ability because they're better offensively than most teams. They still got to find, some improvement areas because they're just getting used to having Zach LaVine in there and other pieces in their lineup too because of the trade deadline. And they've also picked up some guys in the buyout market like Crowder and obviously Markelle Fultz. We don't know if they're going to play a huge role on the team or they're going to play a minor role. But what we do know is that the Kings have looked better even after losing Fox, and they still committed to being a playoff team, and they're not committed to giving up on the season. And you can say that about the Phoenix Suns too, who won their last game, but they're 3-7 in their last 10. They're 18-20 in the conference, 7-4 in the division. They also are 11-20 on the road, but they're 17-12 at home. The Suns need a win streak. And the best part about it is they won their last game, but they need to win more. And they need to start doing it now because they're putting themselves in a tough situation to even be a play-in team, which they're already showing you that they're struggling to compete with the Western Conference. Like I said, it was 18-20 in the Western Conference, and they have been healthy than a lot of other teams, and they still haven't been able to consistently win basketball games. And a lot of people still feel like the Suns should be able to make it, or you're just doing that based off respect for their players. They actually had to play like a team, and it's not an individual battle, it's a team battle. So we're going to see if they can battle those demons of getting in their own way, finding ways to be a little selfish, finding ways to give up on plays or be nonchalant about a lot of things. And we also see that they're not really dominating with their scores. Like Devin Booker hasn't been the greatest right now. Kevin Durant been doing what he usually does, but it's not enough for what they need when it comes to trying to win more games. And Bradley Beal, 1 minute he's in the starting lineup, 1 minute he's off the bench, 1 minute he's going for 20, 1 minute he's going for 18. He's doing what they thought that he would do. But Nick Richards he's been decent. I think Plumlee has been okay. Bol has been playing better, but he's really just putting up numbers. And they just have to find out what their identity is and what their game plan is going to be, what their style is going to be, because whatever it is, it just ain't working. They need to modify it. They need to find a different direction to go in. And I know you don't want to change things drastically in the regular season, but they need it now, because if they're going to keep playing basketball the way they've been playing it this year, they're not going to be good enough to make the playoffs, and that sucks, but it's the reality of the situation. Portland Trail Blazers, they're 27-33. They're 45% in their record. They're also 16-14 at home, 11-19 on the road, 5-8 in the division, 15-28 in the conference. They also won 4 games in a row. They're 6-4 in their last 10. This is a team that you got to keep your eye out on because they have a lot of chances to be great in the future. They have good big men. They have good guards. They have good wings. And they play a solid brand of basketball. They just don't have one guy that can take over the game when things get tough and things get ugly. They're still trying to find that guy. Shaedon Sharpe has been good. Scoot Henderson is becoming the player that we thought that he could be. He just needs more opportunities and more minutes, and possibly maybe a starter in the future for this team, because he can get to the basket, he can play make. He's better shooting right now. We just got to see what he really becomes when he go against the better players, which is the starters. Other than that, the Blazers are ahead of schedule. They're playing better than what we thought that they possibly be at this point, and they're winning games. And that's what you thought that they wouldn't want to do, but they have been able to do it, and they've been doing it a lot more lately. The San Antonio Spurs, 24-33. Their record is a huge disappointment too. But now we know that Wemby not going to play for the rest of the season, which sucks because he's one of the best players to watch, and he's one of the best spectacles of the NBA, and probably even potential to face of the NBA in the future. 14-13 at home as a record, 9-19 on the road, which has been one of their biggest problems. But another one is they're 2-10 in their division, and they're 17-21 in the conference. They also lost their last 4 games, and they are 3-7 with that record in their last 10, which sucks that they traded for Fox. They thought that there would be a piece that can get them to a playoff spot. It didn't work out that way because Wembanyama ended up getting the blood clot problem. This team is not even really worth judging because they lost their best player, and it's nothing you can do to replace a player like him. They just gonna have to try to figure out what they should be doing with their younger players, because they should be getting the bulk of the minutes as this season is basically over. Like, there's no point of making it to the playoffs if you're not going to have There's no point of trying to lose games on purpose, but you also want those guys to develop and get their confidence and get their familiarity with some of the teammates that's going to be a part of this team in the long run. That's all that they can really do, is just lock and reload in the offseason and in the draft, and try to figure out what they need to keep and what they need to move on from, and just make sure they're putting all their attention on Victor so he can get a healthy recovery. Other than that, the Pelicans, they finally start winning but they're 4-6 in their last 10. They lost their last game. They're 10-28 in the conference, 3-9 in the division, 5-25 on the road, and they're also 11-19 at home. Not the season that they was expecting, but it happens. Like, they had way too many injuries. They had way too many inconsistencies with their lineups. They're just going out there playing basketball. Sometimes it don't even look like they're playing as a team, and sometimes it does look like that. And guys are just going out there showing you how good they are. You know, this team is playing more individually than they are as a team. But that's how it usually goes. Like, it's like a walk-in audition. Is basically what you watching the Pelicans do. I can do this now, and I can do that now, and let me do this now, and you can do that now. It looks a little silly and goofy when you actually watch their games, but it still is entertaining and it is fun to watch, especially because their players are that good and they actually can do a lot of those things that they believe that they can. But the season, they're not winning games at a high rate. They're not defending at the highest rate. They're not scoring at the highest rate. So, that's why they have been in a situation where they're losing a lot of games, especially because their best players couldn't stay healthy and get better. DeJounte Murray, I know I said that before, but he's one of my favorite players to watch, and it's sad that they traded for him, and then he left early in the season, and now he's gone for the rest of the season. That's something that I didn't want to see, and I didn't think was going to happen, but it sucks that it did. And then the Jazz, they was able to win 15 games so far and 44 losses. They're 25% when it comes to their record. 8-22 at home and 7-22 away from home. 2-9 in the division, 7-35 in the conference. They won their last game, but they're 3-7 in the last 10. There's nothing crazy to say about this team besides they have a young lineup of guys that just going out there competing. Collier, Filipowski have been great additions to this team because they actually showing you that they have talent and they can do multiple roles on a team. We haven't seen a lot of Lauri Markkanen lately. We've been seeing a little bit more of Walker Kessler. He's a tough, big body that can rebound and use that strength to finish in the paint. And they have some guys that can shoot a little bit, but they're not a great defensive team. They're not a team that plays a style of basketball that is really, ideal. They still figuring out their lineups. They're still figuring out who should play when and who shouldn't play at all. And the draft is only going to confuse that a little bit more because we don't really know what the lottery is until it happens, and we don't know where they're going to be picking at, and we also don't know who they're going to try to go for in free agency. But they have a lot of talent. They just don't know how to utilize it the right way. They don't really get the best out of their talents, and they don't really get the best out of their lineups or off their bench. And it's just how it always goes for young teams. You're trying to figure out who you want to keep, who you don't want to keep, who you need, who you don't need, who you want to use here, there, this, there. And then guys continue to expand their game a little bit. So you have to change some things up for that reason too, because you got to be learning and growing some type of way when your whole job is to do that in the NBA. And that's the purpose of being an NBA player. Other than that, thank y'all for watching the rundown. Y'all feel like this is a classic series. Thank y'all for showing love and appreciation to me, showing y'all different type of ways to do content about basketball and being a 365 basically channel about one particular genre, which is basketball content. So I think that has been fun. I've been enjoying the ride. Let's make 2025 better than 2015. That's the only goal of this channel. And so many things have changed since then and to now, 10 years later. And it's just been a fun ride with you guys, whether you're new or you're old or you're just checking out the channel for the first time. I have videos just like this and different type of conversations. NBA wise, also do breakdowns with real footage of legends, current legends, rookies, and also future stars. I also do mock drafts and draft coverage. And if you want to see more, I got 3,000 plus videos already on my channel that you can watch if you want to get more NBA content. This is a channel for you. I promise you. I done seen so many people say I'm thankful that I found this channel because I haven't seen the channel like this ever. That's because I use analysis. We got the best analysis on YouTube. This was the first analysis channel. Honestly, analysis can be used for different things, not just basketball. It's just the way I like to break things down and how I go about it my way. Other than that, hope you guys are enjoying the weekend. Hope you guys are having a blessed day. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are ready for the instant analysis videos later today and throughout the rest of the month and throughout the rest of this year. Other than that, stay blessed. Y'all stay great. continue to have a little fun with a little leisure and a little rest, and then just go out there and clear your goals each and every day throughout the year too. Other than that, hopefully I see you guys later today. I'm going for now.